Hey everyone, this is OC from Digital Adventures. Got another great project for you today. This one is a simulated version of something called Duckhunt. So what we have is three sprites. We have a hunting rifle, we have some bullets, and we have a flying bird. So let me click on full screen, click on the green flag, and show you how this works. So what we see is we're trying to hit the bird that's flying away, and every time we connect with the bird, we gain a point. So we can go back and forth here. So let's go ahead, exit out of here, and let me show you how this works. And so what we're going to do first is let's clear out this existing code in the bird. I'm going to clear out this existing code in the bullets, and then we're going to get rid of the existing code in the hunting rifle. So we're going to start off programming the hunting rifle. What this essentially is from a costume perspective, it's just two cylinders and it's got two red circles on top. So we're going to go in here, and the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go to events. We're going to grab ourselves a when green flag clicked. We're going to go into motion, and we're going to want this to start at an XY position. So we're going to put this at 7 and a -107 so that it starts kind of at the center of the screen. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go into control. We're going to grab ourselves a forever loop. And then we're going to nest two if-then conditional statements. And these if-then conditional statements are going to be sensing for whether or not a certain key space is pressed. So the first one is going to be key space for left arrow key. And the next one's going to be key space for right arrow key. And what we're going to do when those key spaces are pressed is we're going to change our X by a certain amount. So we're going to grab two change X bys. And so for the first left arrow, we're going to change X by -10. And for the right arrow, we're going to change it by a +10. Now we're going to switch over to bullets, and we're going to program this up here. So we're going to go into events, grab ourselves a when green flag clicked. We're going to grab ourselves a forever loop from control, and then we're going to place an if-then conditional statement in here. And what this is going to do is this is going to tell us whether or not we're firing or not. So we're going to make the firing be for the key space pressed. And what we're going to do is when that first happens, what we want to do is we want to show that bullet. And then the next thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to get a repeat until block. And this repeat until block, what we're going to do is we're going to say we want it touching the edge. And that basically says that we want this bullet to keep going until it gets to the edge of the screen. So we're going to grab ourselves a touching edge block. And that's going to be within sensing. So we need a touching. Instead of it being mouse pointer, we're going to grab ourselves a touching edge block. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do to move. So we're going to get ourselves a move, certain amount of steps. And then we're going to get ourselves a change Y by. And so for this, what we're going to do first is we have some variables created. We have velocity, we have score, we have rising and gravity. So we want this to move by velocity steps. And then we want the change Y to be changed by gravity. And then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to nest ourselves two more conditional statements. So we're going to put an if-then right beneath here. We're going to grab another if-then and place it right beneath the other one. And what we're going to do is we're going to check for some conditions to be met. So what we're going to do is we're going to have greater than and another greater than. And the conditions that we're going to be checking for are velocity and gravity. So we're going to grab ourselves a velocity variable, and we're going to grab ourselves a gravity variable. And the velocity that we want to check for is whether or not it's greater than 3. And the gravity that we want to check for is whether or not it's greater than a -8. And then what we want to do is we want to change these variables. So we're going to grab two change blocks. And so for the first one, we're going to make sure that we change our velocity by a -0.1. And we're also going to change our gravity by a -0.1. And then what we're going to do next is, actually, you know what? This should be an if-then else, not just an if-then. Let's grab that out of here. Let's grab ourselves an if-then else. Put this key space press back in here. And we'll do that. We'll get rid of that one. And then for the else part of this, what we're going to do is we're going to get ourselves a hide block. And what we're going to put in here is we're going to set our gravity to be certain value. And we're going to set our velocity to be a certain value. And so what we want our gravity to start off is at 1. And we want our velocity to start off at 13. And then we always want this bullet to go to the hunting rifle. So not random position, we want this to go to the hunting rifle. And so that's the code for the hunting rifle and the bullets. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do the code for the bird. So what we're going to do first is we're going to get ourselves a when green flag clicked from events. Then what we're going to do is we're going to initialize a couple variables. So we're going to set our score variable to be equal to 0. And we're also going to set something called a rising variable. And what we're going to have that be equal to is 20. This is going to control how fast the bird moves up into the air. Then what we're going to do is we're going to get ourselves a hide block. And we're going to start creating some clones. So we're going to get ourselves a forever loop. And inside that forever loop, what we're going to do is we're going to say create clone of myself. And then we're going to have these clones basically spawn every 3 seconds. So we're going to grab a wait block. We're going to change that to 3 seconds. And then what we're going to do is we want these birds to spawn randomly. So we're going to grab a go to XY. And then we're going to get some pick random operators to place right in there. And for these pick random operators, what we want is the X to vary between -200 and 200. And we want the Y to vary between -100 and 50. So that means that it's going to start in that sort of like lower third of the screen. And then it's going to accelerate up into the air as we clone these things. And so that's how we're going to create them. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go into control. We're going to say, what happens when I start off as a clone? The first thing that I need to do is show up. And once I show up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a repeat until block. And this repeat until block is going to have an operator, a greater than operator. And what we're going to be checking for is whether or not our Y position is greater than 170. And that means like that we're at the top of the screen. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to get ourselves an if then else operator or a conditional statement. We're going to place this right inside of here. And what we're going to be sensing for is whether or not we're touching the bullet. And if we're touching the bullets, then what we're going to do is we're going to go into looks. We're going to change our ghost effect by 25. We're going to get ourselves a little weight so we can see this effect actually happen. So we're going to say this is going to be 0.05 seconds. Then we're going to go and we're going to hide it. So that means that we've gotten hit. And then what we're going to do is we're going to change our score by 1. So we're going to grab that there. We're going to change our score by 1. And then we're going to play this sound. So what we want to do is just have like a nice little sound. I chose the hand clap. You can choose whatever you want. And then what we're going to do is when it's not doing that, we're going to basically have it float up to the top of the screen. So we're going to change Y by this rising variable that we created. And then what we want to do is we want to simulate the look of this flying. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a couple switch costume blocks in here. And between these switch costume blocks, what we're going to do is we're going to get a couple weight blocks. So we're going to put one weight right there and another weight right there. And what we're going to do is we're going to have it wait 0.15 seconds so that you can actually see the flapping. And then the final thing that we're going to do is we want to delete the clone. So we're going to put this very much at the end here. And then we're going to click on full screen, click on the green flag. And what you see happens is every time we hit one of these birds, we have to get a direct hit. You hear the sound, and then the bird goes away. So that's just a cool way to create a similar game to Duck Hunt, where birds are basically spawning, we're shooting a bullet at them, and they're basically dying. So hope you all enjoyed this project. If you do, give us a like, a comment, or a subscribe, and we hope to see you back for the next one. Thank you so much.